The World Wrestling Federation. For over 50 years, the revolutionary force in sports entertainment.
What's our name?
Well, men on the
Are you ready?
Well,
Here we go. Bam, bang, boom. Here we go.
Welcome to the New Gen on a Mission podcast on the Backbone Wrestling Network. I'm Tim Slomka.
I'm JP.
Thanks for joining us again. Always, we're on the journey to relive the New Generation era, to find the best and some of the worst of a wrestling time period often forgotten. Run and Shawn Survivor Series 92, Run and Shawn Survivor Series 97, look beyond the pay-per-views, examine the weekly TV, see what worked, what could have worked, and what failed. JP, how's life?
Good, man. Hard Knocks debuted this week with the Bears, the beloved. So
The beloved, yes.
that was
a win.
Yeah,
That was a win.
Yep.
It was a win.
I don't care if it's a Hall of Fame game. It's a win. We'll take it.
Yes, and I was just at SummerSlam out in Cleveland, which was a ton of fun with some of the Place to Be and Backbone Network and all of the other quadrupods.
Did you wear a Joakim Noah jersey to Cleveland?
I should have. I did make that joke somewhere about Cleveland. We did. Me and Miss Jenny near the end of the trip gave our opinions on Cleveland.
How is Cleveland?
I'll keep it to myself.
Okay, that speaks volumes without having to say anything. I live in Tampa, so it's like everybody loves Tampa when they come here. I don't think of it as this great city, like being from Chicago. Yeah. But I'm sure it's way better than Cleveland. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. I mean, it was okay. It's just it's like one of those things where like they clearly didn't think of like the stadium's like right on the lake, but it has no views of the lake. It's not and you can't really see the lake because like they built it the wrong way. Like at least Soldier Field, like it's as crappy as it is. Yeah. You can go out when you exit. You can basically go out to the lake. It's beautiful, and there's grass, and you can hang out. You can tailgate on the lake. This one you can't. They literally so there's just like a lot of things like that where it's just like poorly planned. So, but it was fun. We went Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We went to see GCW. We did SummerSlam, and we just kind of hung out.
How was GCW? Are you a follower of GCW?
That was the first time I've ever seen that. So or been there.
I was wondering how you felt about that because
it was okay.
How are you into that? Are you into that scene?
No, not really.
I didn't think
but it was
so.
fun to go. It was fun to go. You know, it was a good time.
Different.
It was something different, and it was pretty cool. Matt Hardy was there. The Maharaja, Jinder Mahal. Sorry, I don't pronounce his real name. You know, Zack Ryder. So those guys I knew, and then the other guys gave good. I mean, a lot of guys gave good efforts. Like it wasn't mailed in. So I thought it was pretty fun. So
yeah, I think every wrestling fan who is like either just a WWE fan or just like the mainstream should see something like GCW, even if you just watch it on TV, because it's definitely a different experience. Like it's definitely grassroots kind of thing.
Yeah, so. It was definitely tamed down. We were kind of talking. It might have been, like how you gotta get like permission from the local athletics. So like there was no blood or things like that. So it might have been a tamed down.
Okay.
Because of that, but it was still good. It was still very violent, and Matt Hardy kind of coming back, and he was fun. So it was good to go. And just we went to Guardians game too, so it was just a lot of fun. Just kind of hanging out and relaxing and enjoying. So good time. When we talked a lot of wrestling, I saw Sergeant Slaughter. That was probably my highlight of meeting people. He was walking to the hotel right when I was leaving Comic-Con. So like, hey, what's up, Sarge? He goes,
Oh, I'm a huge fan. That's awesome.
I thought I was like gonna shake his hand, but he was like had his bags carrying in and going to the hotel. I was like, I'll just leave him be. But
he'd probably ask
$20.
you who you're voting for.
Yeah, give me $20. It was kind of like, it was definitely a very, very Sarge response. So but it was cool,
man. Glad you had a good time.
Yeah, it was good. So should we talk Bob Backlund then?
Yeah, let's talk about shitty times.
Yeah, it's Doink the Clown. All right. Superstars, 12-3. So we're really after, last time we talked about that Raw and Superstars right after Survivor Series where the title change happened. And now we're kind of into the taped section of these where they more start building up Rumble, but it takes a little bit to get going. Mm-hmm. We kind of had the same complaint about Survivor Series. Like it took forever to get something going. So I know you've messaged me separately about this first Superstar, so we'll try to fly through this because it's probably one of the weakers in lack of build. So
this episode gave me diabetes.
Okay. Yeah, it was a little rough. So we got 12-2. So the week after, they make they start off them announcing, hey, Diesel's the new champion. Okay, cool. We get 1, 2, 3 kid. He looks like he's got a new perm. I thought.
Yeah, he did.
His hair's a little different, so he's looking a little different. And Vince kind of brings up how Jack Tunney, the incompetent official, had to make either Shawn or Diesel the number 1 contender, which I don't know how that came about or why that he had to do that.
Right.
But Vince just kind of making this thing. King then jokes about that Brooklyn Brawler should have been the number one contender, which is pretty funny. And then Brooklyn Brawler tries during this match a baseball slide to the outside.
Thank you.
Yes. Do you have it 0 miles an hour? Because I clocked him in it.
I have that he has his gimmicks confused because he probably thought he was still Abe Knuckleball Schwartz doing a baseball slide.
Yeah, it was pathetic.
But it was so bad. Yeah,
it was a long pack. So you get the standard kid squash. I think actually Brawler got a lot of offense, in which we've seen a lot with Kid, right? Like he gets taken down and then finds a way to kind of out finesse everyone in these jobber matches. So fine starts, but they really kind of built up the Shawn Diesel. And then after that, we get the long recap of basically Diesel, Backlund, Bret Hart, basically saying, hey, Backlund won the title, Diesel gave away the tag team titles, and then we got, Diesel winning the championship. Tag team titles are up for grab, and kind of Backlund's turned into this more crazed manner than I think we've seen. Like he's more delusional. He's got the bow tie, but this is the first appearance of bow tie.
Right.
But he's definitely a different personality now, where he's kind of just more crazed, like really gone over the top with like, hey, he's just a crazy human versus like he was crazed for the title before.
I think they're like trying to call him senile, like how he doesn't remember things, like he just doesn't know what's going on around him completely. He reminds me of of like Frank Costanza, like where he just like yells out loud. He just doesn't have like a adjusted reality. He's just kind of like yelling and screaming, and he doesn't care who hears him. He's old, so people just say, "Oh, it's okay. It's just an old man freaking out," kind of thing. So
right.
I still like Backlund character. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm still into it. So what I don't like is King Kong Bundy. Sucks.
Oh man.
Yeah, he's you got a squad. Okay, he doesn't suck. Like there's way worse that's on the program right now. He just doesn't fit this era for me. I just don't like I wish like they were like, to put it in football terms, since it's like football season now. I wish they would have went like with a full rebuild, with like all their young talent and started like just highlighting young talent, giving them shots and stuff like that. Like a jobber that we see soon, like Chris Kanyon. I wish he would have got some shine because he ended up being a pretty solid worker. I know, like other guys come in, like Chris Benoit comes in for a shot, it's probably later in '95. But like the younger guys, they try to go in that direction, but still you have King Kong Bundy on the roster, even DiBiase and other guys just kind of bog it down a little bit. So it wasn't, it's not the worst thing to see. I just wanted a different direction, I guess. Then we also get a Hakushi vignette, which I love Hakushi, but this vignette sucks. Like it's just a symbol like in the sky, so you don't really know what we're getting here. It's not even like a tease of what we're getting. I wasn't big into Japanese wrestling yet, or never really got big into it, but I wasn't like familiar with who was coming in, so I just was clueless until that came. And then
you would have no idea who he is. It just says Hakushi.
Right.
It's very, but it is very like 91, 92, where it's just like, hey, some new guy's coming in with no gimmick or anything. Like you would even know he's Japanese, right? Like,
right. But I think WCW did a good job working with their Japanese talent, where WWF kind of pigeonholed, and they still do to this day. Like they're all the same thing. Like they all get the same generic type music. They all get typecast the same. Whereas like WCW had like the working relationship with New Japan, so like they, would focus on how much of a technical wrestler they were, or how important it was in Japan and stuff like that. WWF wasn't like, they weren't about that. Like it's more of just a character, and you're gonna fill a slot,
Right. Well, the Orient Express music is a banger, so lots
that's
to
fair.
That.
That's very fair. Yeah, that's very fair. But I don't know. It's just Hakushi's awesome, so I want to see him actually in the ring. So Then we also get another relic of the past. We get a Bushwhacker squash. Like, I don't know why they're working squash matches. Like, do we really need to see like victories from them? And that just tells you how terrible the tag division is when they're getting like highlight squash matches on your weekly TV. So just a dearth of like watching this. Like I'm not I'm not the biggest Bundy fan or Bushwhackers fan. And I'll just lump this next one in too because I don't want to give you this. There's a Jim Neidhart versus Jeff Hardy squash. So those 3 squashes all in a row, followed by that long Survivor Series recap, is like the most brutal television I've seen in wrestling in a long time. Like I just can't get over that, like how you stack that together, followed by that long segment. Like none of these guys are like athletic or throw Bob Holly in there or something. Throw Jarrett. Throw Owens.
Well, any type
Somebody.
of feud. There's no feud from any of this stuff,
or that,
right? Like
exactly.
Yeah, it's just random squashes with no points.
Yeah,
like Bushwicker has no point. Anvil has a little bit, but his feud's over with Bret. Bret's gone. Like he's got nothing going on. King Kong Bundy, I do like the 5 counts. And the only thing they did during that match was they talked about Bam Bam and Million Dollar Man from last week, but that's not even with King Kong Bundy, unless they're going to Bam Bam King Kong Bundy feud.
Right. Yeah, it's just weird. It was just a weird
lack of build up.
Mm-hmm.
I'll throw in the last one then, and we got Duke Drosy then too.
Right.
Who's a guy we haven't seen on pay-per-view ever? Have we seen him? No, I don't think so. Right?
No,
he's been around for a while and 0 pay-per-view appearances, so he's got nothing going on. He had like a few with the King, and then just kind of nothing.
Yep.
So I did like though they showed highlights of Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And King goes, "Oh, there's Mabel in the air," and it was a thing of Barney, which is very comical and also very topical. So I like that. Yeah. That was pretty good. Good job.
I'm a sucker for King's little comments like that. His little quick wit. So at least that will add a little levity to it. Oh, yes. There was also a Henry Goblin vignette. You can't forget about that. So we'll see.
So many of them. Yeah, between like Haikushi and Godwin, I think they're in every episode.
Yep. Yeah.
So really building up.
So you can tell who the next champion is going to be soon.
Yep. Yes. Next WrestleMania. So anything else on that?
No, I think we're
pretty rough
out of that episode.
One of the more rougher episodes that we had. Then we're going to Raw 12-5. So then I think it starts picking up from here. So as much as we're kind of down on that one, the 12-5 starts picking up on Raw.
Yep.
We get Shawn Michaels comes out as a guest announcer. So they've kind of been doing this since King has kind of been here and there that they brought Shawn Michaels out here. I put Vince, I'm sure, is such a boner for this episode.
Oh, yeah, you know.
We know it. And then we get a kind of cool matchup they announced. Double J, Jeff Jarrett versus Bulldog. So Bulldog's been really a guy picked up. This is a longer match. And we get the debut of the Roadie. So why don't you take this match?
Yeah, this was awesome.
This your guy.
Yeah, so I'm a big as 95 approaches. This is basically like my, a couple weeks back. This is like where I started watching week to week. I can just like remember all this stuff now. So like all these guys that are coming soon that everybody hates or they think they suck. I love so, and I'm completely biased in that. So. I didn't know this was going to be the episode that it happened. So, like, you got Jarrett and Bulldog come out.
I didn't know either.
Yeah, and the way they played it so subtly was cool. Like, I'm not going to overstate it and say, like, this is this great reveal or anything, but Jarrett comes out, and just the matchup itself is cool because I really like Bulldog in this role, like, as the babyface, athletic, big, strong guy that can kind of throw around heels. And like you see this in the corner, like around the post, the Roadie stick his head up. We know now who that is, but back then, like I wouldn't have known who that was at all. Like I wouldn't have known he was an Armstrong. Wouldn't have recognized him. He had a little cup of coffee in WCW in like '93. I think I hadn't watched USWA yet, so I really didn't know who he was. So you just kind of see this like glimpse out of the corner, and then it starts like making sense that he's with Jarrett. Like he starts like. Looks like he's trying to like adjust the ring. He's acting like an actual Roadie. So pretty cool because now it's like Jarrett was always supposed to be like this country singer that got rejected, but now they're kind of really playing into that. Like he's just like rejected star kind of thing, and he has an entourage now. He's got a roadie with him, so that was cool. And the good thing about the roadie too is like he's really locked into the gimmick. Like he's not like pantomiming anything. He's not like half-assing anything. He's acting like an actual roadie, so he's not trying to like steal the spotlight or anything like that. Jarrett ends up winning this match too, which was weird over Bulldog. But I don't know. I just feel like this adds like a good layer to Jarrett now, who I really think is one of the top heels in the company, like performance-wise, maybe not status-wise. But I feel like he always puts on like entertaining, vignettes and matches and stuff like that. So I think this could raise him up an extra level a little bit.
Yeah, I like the Vince kind of calls him out and thinks it's like, oh, he almost got tripped by the ring attendant, and then he says like something else, and like they kind of played out over the top, which is kind of funny because it was like you do kind of notice it's like, oh, maybe that's just an accident, and then like the third or fourth time you're like, okay, this is clearly a gimmick. I like that Vince keeps Double J looks ridiculous. Gold and black tights. He just his outfit is ridiculous. Vince kind of says he looks like Shawn Michaels a little bit. I mean, it's kind of that kind of same Shawn Flair, type guy, like over the top, showboaty with a lot of selling really big. Like Double J fits in those in that motif. It's kind of weird. Bulldog, they kind of built him up. He was in the main event, right, as a ring toss guy, but he was in the main event, and yet he loses to Double J. So Double J all of a sudden has kind of jumped, right? And I think we skipped on Superstars that Double J kind of had a promo calling out Razor. Yeah, calling out Razor. Yeah. So I think Double J's all of a sudden jumped the thing, and it's kind of weird that he gets this win over Bulldog. I know it's kind of a cheap win, and it'll lead to a lot of stuff that Double J ends up doing, but he's jumped the queue, right? He's kind of moved up, and shocking to see Bulldog lose this, but it makes sense, and it's a cheap win for Double J. It doesn't make Bulldog look too weak or anything like that. Like he doesn't look too stupid. He didn't look like stupid, right? Where sometimes he faces look so dumb getting things. Like this is clearly like, hey, a guy held him from under the ring. So
yeah. Well, I think you're talking about Jarrett jumping the queue, and he definitely did, but I think he's credible enough to where it doesn't get rejected. Like he's okay, we can see this guy in this role kind of thing. So
yeah.
Even though he's jumped, it was surprising to see him get this victory over Bulldog though. Because I feel like Bulldog has been wasted just like Luger was, and ironically they get put together, but he's totally wasted right now.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah, shocking to see him do it. So then we get to this American Sportscasters dinner, associated dinner. Sorry, I butchered the name of that, but it's so funny because there's like this you got ex-president Gerald Ford there, and then you have in suits the Bushwackers, Doink and Dink. Like it's like, what is going on here? It's so funny, this dinner reception they have. So I had to point that out. But it's like literally have an ex-president and then Doink and Dink in a suit. Like it's so funny.
It's so mid-90s WWF.
It's so mid-90s. Yeah, it looked so cheesy too. It's like I couldn't imagine like like Trump going to something like this, or even Clinton. Like no, this looks so crappy. So it's pretty funny seeing Doink and Dink there and the Bushwhackers. Maybe that's why the Bushwhackers are back. We get 1 2 3 Kid versus coming up 1 2 3 Kid versus Barry Harwood's really good match. I just keep putting the kid's always underused in this time frame. Like he's just killing it. Barry Harwood looks good here too. Maybe setting up for maybe they're setting him up a little bit. I don't know when he starts becoming really involved in wrestling, but it was good to see him kind of in there. We also talk about how 1 2 3 Kid and Aldo Modano, Toya, the Man of War, teamed up together and beat Heavenly Bodies on Action Zone. So it seems like 1 2 3 Kid's the kind of utility player. Hey, I'm going to do some things. He's kind of been in some random tags. So kind of cool there. And then we get Quang up, and here comes the Harvey Whippleman Fink feud that we've all been wanting. For something, Harvey Whippleman for some reason ranks up Fink's contract. I'm not sure why he had a contract, but Quang gets a standard win over Squash, and the big thing is that they're feuding for Fink and Harvey Whippleman. Yeah, I think they add before a King's Court.
Yeah, that was really weird. Like to highlight, I don't know. Harvey Whippleman kind of sucks like a lot. Like I thought he was better than this as a manager.
Right, I agree.
Because he's pretty solid in Memphis. Like he's not the great manager, but he is like a caricature of a manager. Like he's very bad. Like I think he's only there because he has this like unique raspy voice for a short guy.
Well, I remember, I know he was on The Place to Be a while back, and it was a really good interview. And he was just like, "Hey, I would do anything." So I think he was just kind of like, "Hey," he never thought he was too good or anything like that. And he was just kind of like, he would drive, whatever. He'd have to help set up the ring if they needed it, or a sound guy, or like he was just kind of willing to do anything. So I'm sure that helped his staying power, right? Kind of like someone like Bruce Pritchard was around for a while, where like he just kept. I don't want to say paying his oats, but he'd be there, and so like it was tough to get rid of that guy because he was always helping out. So.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. It just, I mean, it didn't really translate on the screen to me.
No, he's terrible as a manager.
Right. So from there, we do get the King's Court with Shawn Michaels. King in the beginning of these lately has been kind of like shitting on the fans, which I love. Like I just love when he does that because you could tell he kind of wants to go harder than he does, but being that it's like, probably PG or whatever at the time, he doesn't really. But he's so good at these little one-liners, and they're like the dumbest things he says too. It's just funny in that setting that he does that. So Shawn comes in the ring, from the announce booth. They acts all coy, like he didn't know it was him that was going to be on King's Court, and he's got his like I don't know if I haven't really tracked if it's been like the last week or two, but he's in his full like male stripper regalia now, where he's like, he's got the hat on, he's got the old Oasis looking glasses on and everything like that. So he asked like if anyone's ever heard of Diesel before him. Like he's basically playing the role of I made this guy who he is, and now he's a champion kind of thing. So he's kind of trying to take the credit for Diesel. So just weird, like how the split is now all of a sudden, like focused that way. I don't know if that's really like the best way to utilize Diesel or Shawn, because I just feel like they don't mesh as well right now as opponents. They were really good as an act together. So just kind of going to track that to see how it goes. Shawn's clearly using it to I do like the character now of Shawn, the way he's kind of like this is the Shawn I remember now, like the kind of annoying, like look at me for everything kind of character. It makes you hate him. So he's playing a good heel role right now. So
definitely it elevates him, right? He's like, hey, I'm coming after the champion as well. There was also a random Diesel chanter in the middle, which clearly was not coming from the crowd, so play on the Diesel chant, and then we get right after that. I do like too King and Shawn both hamming it up. Like King the whole time is like, I get this mystery guest. Shawn's like, oh, who could it be? Who could be that great? And then it was like Shawn Michaels, and they're both like awestruck, like, oh, I can't believe it. So it was very campy and hammy, but that was supposed to be right of like. That. So I thought that was really well done. And Vince is, of course, was this is ridiculous. His classic Vince. So
we get pissed too. Vince
he does. Yeah,
he looks so pissed, like he got duped. So.
Yeah, he definitely looked like he got duped. So we get another Hakushi promo, which then Shawn makes fun of for being Asian or something. Like it's like Jesus, like he's gonna be a heel, and you're right. And we're just being racist for no reason. But then we get the dream match of Well Done versus Bushwackers. I can't believe my first note is I can't believe JP liked the Well Done. This was first note. And this whole match, all we get is Harvey Whippleman being involved in this match. It's setting up constantly that he keeps getting involved with the Bushwackers. The Bushwackers do their standard moves. They're still over the crowd. The crowd still knows who they are. They still get over. It's just crazy that like. That they're still around, and then finally Harvey holds one of the Bushwackers on the leg, and then Well Done kind of gets the victory, a cheap victory. Vince says it's a big upset, which I'm not really sure it is, but kind of okay match. But again, it was talking about Fink and Harvey the whole time. They did talk a little about the tag team title tournament that will be announced next week. That both these teams got a chance to win on it, but it was kind of a nothing match. Again, I get it why you're trying to bring the Bushwackers out. We've talked about this with like Coco Beware and some of these other guys. Like I get why you're trying to bring them out. Like it's an okay thing, but it's like at least Well Done won, but it was kind of unnecessary. Every time we see the Bushwackers actually fight, it's kind of unnecessary. So.
Yeah, my only note for this was I'll take Well Done over the Bushwackers. I don't care what Tim says.
I agree.
Yeah.
But,
and then we get Backlund comes out, and he, Shawn, and Vince kind of close the show together. So random Backlund coming out at the end. Like they do that sometimes where somebody for like the next week Raw or something will kind of come out to hype the show.
Right, which is cool.
It's probably taped. Yeah. So.
Right, and then obviously I think they then do that match.
Right.
Is then like right after that, so the crowd gets into it from
Yep.
you know what I mean, like in person. So I get why they do it. So okay, move on to Superstars 12-10. This is taped still again before Survivor Series, so this is kind of the end of the stale Superstars on this taping. It's it's been kind of rough. We talked about last time. This one's a little better, but we get Double J out first on the video screen, kind of from Vegas. This is the 90s casino style Vegas, not the Strip.
Right.
So pretty funny there. And then I just gotta put that he's out of nowhere to challenge Razor. Like I feel like it's like crazy that Double J is gonna win and gonna challenge Razor. Like he just jumped the queue so much, but I do like it. Razor in black tights. I don't know if he's been in these, but it looks sharp, solid. He's a solid squash. Even though he does the abdominal stretch, it's still a good squash. That's not necessary, but big win for Razor there, and then really kind of setting up the Double J feud.
Yeah. So, and then I did like how like on the way to the ring, Razor kind of stopped to talk to Vince and Lawler about Jarrett. So that was kind of cool, like kind of answering the challenge a little bit.
Yep.
And then from there we get, this is a big highlight to me. We get the tag brackets. So I'm a big brackets guy. Like I like seeing the matchups and wondering what can happen. I've always liked tournaments and stuff like that, where it's, you have a tournament for the belt or WrestleMania 4 or even like Battle Bowl, stuff like that back in the day. I've always liked that. Like you don't know. You can kind of, if you're kind of see where the booking is going, you can kind of make sense of where it would go. This one's a little different than that, like how it plays out, but they do like tell us what the first round matchups are going to be, and that's going to be Bam Bam into Tonka versus Men on a Mission. So that's that's a toss up if you were to look at it on paper.
I can't figure this bracket out at all. I know Well Done's not winning, and I know Bushwackers aren't winning, but besides that, I really couldn't tell you where it was going to go.
And you know what? Now the team I thought was in it is not even in it, looking at it again. So I don't even know where this bracket goes. I thought I knew. I don't know. So unless there's a switch up in the teams, which might happen, but we get the Heavenly Bodies versus the Bushwhackers, which you would think maybe the Heavenly Bodies would go over, but it's not like a guarantee. They're not that high up on the card. We get the Head Shrinkers versus Anvil and Owen. And this is the new Head Shrinkers now with Sione, so they're not necessarily established either, so that can go either way. And then you also get the Smoking Guns versus Well Done, which I think is clearly Smoking Guns. That's like the only matchup that I think is a clear winner. So no great matches on paper per se, but
it's at least something on Superstars, right? It's at least something that's going to happen on Superstars. This week and last week we don't have any marquee matchups. We literally just have squashes.
Imagine
and nothing.
If you highlighted the tag division earlier, this would mean even more.
Yeah.
Like if you built a few of these teams up into a feud or something.
Right.
But so at least it's good they're doing something. Like they don't exactly have the best depth on the roster as far as teams go, but at least they're trying to make something of it. So that's pretty cool that they're doing that.
Yeah, agreed.
And then from there, which they're great at doing this, they go to a Smoking Gun squash. So you're focused on one of the teams in the tournament. So that was kind of good, and they seem to be getting a little bit better too in the ring. Like they're a little bit more connecting with the crowd and that kind of thing. So that was pretty cool to see them. And then they also replayed the Diesel interview from 2 weeks ago. So they're just really running on all of his tape so far and kind of beating that into the ground.
Yep, it was a long interview, and they shortened the interview from Raw. Like it's like they took the best pieces of it. It was still super long.
Right.
So then we get. I'm trying to see if they get anything else. We just get Owen Hart.
Yep.
Squash match next. They said Bret's still going to be out till January, so just kind of probably updating like for house feuds. They get Man of War up next in squash. Vince always says. This is where classic Vince. This guy's making a name for himself in WWF, which means he isn't.
Exactly.
He's a bum.
It's the scrappy underdog.
Yeah, scrappy underdays. And then we get Tatanka, and in a squash. I kind of like that. They really built up him and Bam Bam versus Men on a Mission, which I put as like that could be a really cool match. Like I'm kind of actually really intrigued for that because I have no idea where that's going to go, but I think it's a cool match.
Well, it's like, where do they go? Man on a Mission just came back as a team,
right?
So it's like,
as a team,
do you job them out already? And then Bigelow and Tatanka are supposed to be this like, the faction leaders and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty good.
And sorry. Oh, we get Doink then. Oh, so first we get a highlight. Unless you want to take this, I can go quickly.
Are you talking about the head shrinkers?
Oh no. Let me get Doink first, then you can do the head shrinkers.
Go ahead.
Because I didn't want to miss that either.
Yeah.
We get Doink. They got a highlight of why him getting dinked last year. I had no idea why they showed it. It really didn't make sense. But then Dink's got a squash. My son was sleeping downstairs, and I was watching this, and I thought he was sleeping still. And all of a sudden, I heard someone laughing, and I was like, "Are you laughing at Doink? I can't believe it. I can't believe you're laughing at Doink." Yeah, he definitely did. So it was disappointing.
That's awesome. But, and we also get in between there a head shrinkers left guard commercial.
Yes.
So if you are someone that grew up in the 90s, like ourselves, these left guard commercials was the thing. Deodorant in general was like a huge commercial thing.
Oh, yeah. I don't understand.
With sports, right? Yes. It's like, I don't know if there was a huge BO problem in the 90s.
I wonder. I'm just reading a book, and they're talking about like the olden, people always say the olden times. Yeah. And like they were kind of like one of the things olden times no one brings up is how bad people stunk. Right. So I wonder if like kind of the idea of like fitness and stuff, like people are like more into like, oh my God, I actually stink. I should probably do something about it. Because like I just wonder if like with that, like just being people jogging and just like being outside and actually doing athletics, like if there was just like a cognizant of like, oh my God, people stink. Like we got to smell better than like natural BO.
Well, or
I'm just wondering,
geared towards the wrestling audience because like in the next year
Stridex
becomes becomes a huge brand ambassador for them. So the commercial is, go ahead
the brand ambassador, I mean, they were everywhere.
So the commercial itself is disgusting. So I honestly don't even know if they used a prop for this because their budget was so bad at this time, and maybe they just told him it was a prop. But so Sione and Fatu acting sophisticated. So they got the wild, Samoan guys, Tongan and Barbarian's case, whatever. But they're looking at it, they're smelling it, they're admiring it, and then all of a sudden they roll it up and like it's in Barbarian's face, and he takes a huge bite out of this deodorant, and I'm like, nah, there's no way to just let him. So I don't know. I would like to hope it's like a prop or whatever, but like I said, I don't know how advanced those things were in these times. So maybe, and he's probably the kind of guy that would do it for the shock factor or whatever. So it was amazing. It's pretty nostalgic though. Like like I said, if you're someone like us that grew up in this era, when you see like a left guard commercial, was left guard the same one Barkley used to do?
Yeah, I feel like
Okay.
Well, it was right guard. It was right guard.
Right guard.
Right guard. Yeah, right guard. Yeah.
Yes. So left guard is what they did to throw it off.
Yes.
That was their mocking of it. So,
well, I thought it hit like something on Peacock at first. I was like, so
did I. That's why I was like, what is this? It's like a commercial.
I was like,
and
who would pay?
Fatu looked different too.
I was like, who's gonna? Yeah, I was like, who's gonna pay these guys?
Right. So it was good stuff.
Good stuff. Right. Anything else, or we can move on?
No, I think we're good.
All right. We got 12-12 Raw.
Yep.
So we got one last Raw before we get on. So good one here. We're back live, actually. So this is kind of cool that we're finally get a live. I think we're live. But we get a better Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And we get Doink and Backlund. So remember how we talked last week about Doink and Backlund coming together?
Yeah.
They actually fight this week. So, again, kind of good. They kind of film it right before he leaves. So that's the last thing you think about. And that becomes a big match this week. So we get Doink and Backlund. Do you want to take it or do you want me to get it?
Yeah. So because I have some opinions about this.
Okay.
So they do the really cool thing with two guys that are not really cool, and it does not work. So they do that cold open thing where it's like in the shadow background kind of thing where you see like half of Bob's face and you see half of Doink's face like squaring off with each other, and it's like this supposed to be the showdown. Doink just ruins it. He's got this like steel mill, almost like northeastern accent too, kind of like it just doesn't work with the clown. Like if this was Matt Bourne, this would have been perfect.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But Philip Paulo, whatever his name is, his voice does not work with this at all. Backlund's part was good, but yeah, this just didn't work for me as far as the cold open goes. So yeah, then it switches to the match. So at least it introduced that and set it up all right. So a very long match, by the way. So
Doink Doink's got to show off his skills.
It hit even the bumper on Peacock where you have to like wait the
commercial.
Second. Yeah, I'm like, no way this match is still going. But Doink like mocks Backlund's like mannerisms in the beginning, which was kind of funny. How Backlund would get all excited and stuff, and then they started doing some like amateur holds, which was kind of cool for being these two guys. So that kept me a little interested. But then it just drug on way too long with like rest holds and.
Well, this is your former champion,
right? So
clowning to Doink,
right?
Pun intended, clowning to Doink.
And it's this version of Doink.
Yeah,
I don't know. It just drug on way too long. You could tell it was an obvious they had to fill time kind of thing. But these were not the two guys to do it. Like this is something if you're flipping through the channels and you see WCW instead in this era, especially this, where WCW started to go a little bit with this, you're not really gonna watch Raw or WCW wasn't on Monday, but still, like if you're kind of trying to pick your home team, I guess. Backlund eventually gets the chicken wing for the win, which is good. Put the clown to rest.
Yep.
But yeah, this match was entirely too long, and I don't know. I feel like they're like shitting on Backlund, kind of like he's doing such great character work, and then they're not giving him anything to chew on. So, very weird matchup here.
It's rough because it's like Doink looks ridiculous with his like crap all over everything. Like his like face paint comes over because it's such a long match. It's all over the ring. It's over Backlund. It just looks ridiculous. I can't believe like Doink is a guy that fine, whatever. He's for the kids. He's my kid, found him funny. But like, why is he going against the ex-champion? He hasn't been brought up to like even fight him. Like, is this a number one contenders match? It just makes no sense. You're kind of right. Backlund with no music and kind of like paying up that he can't hang. Can barely hang with this clown. It's just kind of silly. Again, I think if Doink had been built up like he was in '93, even if it was, if they kept that going, I don't care whether he's face or heel. It's really disappointing. It is what it is. Backlund again looks strong with the chicken wing at the end, but it's kind of a silly match. We do get the announcement again of the tag team tournaments. So we get kind of all the participants announced here. It's interesting that originally I had in my notes somewhere else that Vince said Jack Tunney was going to make the announcement, had a big announcement, and then Vince just does it himself. So I'm sure I wonder if we even see Jack Tunney anymore, but it kind of seems like Vince was like, change his mind, just like I'll announce this, I'll make it look better. The brackets look cool. The way they say the finals is the Royal Rumble, the design of it's really cool with the colors scheme. So I like that.
I love that color scheme.
We kind of this color scheme is it's neon-y, but it's not over the top.
Right.
They talk a little bit more about Double J with that he's front of the old Vegas with all the signs for the naked ladies and strip clubs, which is kind of funny. And then we get Razor. So again, that's kind of where we've had this back-to-back Double J promo, Razor in ring. Razor kind of limps a little bit, so I wonder if he was having some knee trouble there. I know that's the way they end the Rumble match, but I just don't know if he actually had some injury there. And then we get, do you want me to do the King's Court?
Yeah, you can have it.
Oh, thanks. Because my boy IRS, boy IRS comes up, and we get the Druids for some reason.
It's so weird.
And they talk to Taker really, really good. IRS is kind of standard promo, tax cheats, and the dead haven't paid their taxes. My boys is kinging it. And all of a sudden, they're like, IRS is going to fight Luger next week. I'm like, what? Why is he IRS in two massive feuds against the number 2 and number 3 guys, I would say, in the babyface world? Taker and Luger. IRS can take them on all. That's how good he is. That's
I guess.
I guess. So,
I don't get the whole Druid thing. I don't know if there's going to be a payoff. I don't remember. But the single Druid and all that, like being in there.
Now there's two. Yeah,
Yeah, now there's 2. But yeah, it's just weird. Like
there's something. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely weak.
Maybe it's going to be Vince, and he's going to say it was me, IRS, all along when he
Yes,
takes the hood off or
this is
something
the
like
original.
that.
This is the
Right.
original.
So yeah, I don't know. I just don't remember anything coming of it. I hope there's some kind of a reveal, but I just don't remember. Um, so yeah, that was kind of what it was. But then we get an Aldo Montoya squash. He's on a lot more than I remember him being
Oh my
on.
god, I can't. Some of these guys is like, I think because like the lack of pay per view sometimes
Hmm.
like muddies your opinion of them, but like he is like everywhere. Aldo Montoya.
Well,
I mean,
the thing I loved about WCW from around this time period on is they had such a deep roster, and so you wouldn't see guys all the time. You would
yeah,
see certain guys here, you would see them, and then a couple weeks later you'd see them again, or you see some guys all the time, but like you refresh it out. I wish the WWF did that more because like
yeah, they don't
we didn't
do
see
anything.
Holly at all this time. We didn't see other guys at all, like not even once. So like I wish they would just kind of cycle in more, just so you can kind of get a little breath of fresh air, I guess. So then there's also another Bundy squash, like that plays into it too. Another guy again. So he is his squash over, and then they close out the show with Santa and Shawn Michaels getting into it. So playing up the Christmas theme that's coming on. They're notorious for that. So that didn't really bother me at all. So.
Yeah, we got more Harvey Wilpelman. They
Oh
talk up
yeah,
again. They
yeah,
talk up that again, right? That's a big thing. They also showed Mania 100, which is kind of funny. Doink shows up in a suit again, so I don't know why the big thing is like let's put Doink in a suit, but that he was there for it. And then at Mania 100, they had Stephanie Wyatt as the new co-host of
yep.
Mania 100. So kind of cool. They haven't done much on a female side from announcing and that type of stuff for a while, so pretty cool. We'll see how that goes. And then I do like Santa coming out. Like I think because this was the live one, so this was taped December 12th.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they did it there because like the other one was taped pre Survivor Series. So like I think they didn't want to have Santa on that one, so they have him on this one, and he actually gives Shawn the women's belt, which is pretty funny. Santa hams it up a little bit, so decent ending there for that. I thought kind of funny. It just plays again to Shawn being like he thinks he's the greatest thing ever, and then kind of Santa kind of shitting on him. I thought that was fine enough, and they've always done the Santa thing, right? Like WWF has always tried to associate themselves with
100%.
Christmas. So we've seen it before, right? Bret Hart at 92 is getting the gift from Santa, so they've always done this type of stuff. So it doesn't bother me that much.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Anything else before we move on?
No, I think we're good.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we got a little Rumble build, but not much, right? So I think we'll really next week really pick up. Like,
yeah, it has to.
Besides the tag team tournament, we're like waiting. We picked up a little bit on that last episode of Raw, but still, just like want to get going. So we'll see. Let's get most new gen outfits.
There's a couple good ones. I liked the black and gold on Jarrett, so I have to go with that.
I already keyed him black and gold on Double J, so I'll have to go with that. Most new gen performer.
You know what? Shawn being so versatile with like the commentary and the in-ring with Lawler and stuff.
Okay.
And then closing it out with Santa as well. Like I felt like he was like a 5-tool player on this one, so I'll go with him.
Okay, Shawn. I'm gonna go. There was so few actual featured matches that just got hard. There were so many squashes. I don't want to go Bushwackers. You know that. No, I won't do that to you. And I'm just gonna go Razor. I don't know. He was fine as 2 squashes, so I'll just go him. It's kind of lacking a little bit on that. Worst match or segments? You got a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Doink and Backlund being that it was so long, and it's kind of just ruined Backlund a little bit. I'll have to go with that.
Yeah, I really wonder where Backlund downfalls, right? Like when he falls apart, because like he's still in a lot of segments, but like we know he's not long for this world, and it's being treated as like serious. So we'll see that. I'm gonna go Duke the Dumpster Drosy squash from that Superstars. There was like you said, 5 in a row, and he's just the last one, so it's kind of not his fault, but just there was so much in there that like 30 minutes is pretty.
No, long. I mean that's a real thing. Like if you're getting wore down, and then the last thing is what you remember, that's that's what happens.
Sorry. So. Best match or segments.
There wasn't very much to choose from. I want to go Jarrett Bulldog just because it wasn't like the best match, but it had like the roadie feature. But I'm I'm gonna go. This is a little out of left field. I'm gonna go with the bracket reveal.
That's pretty good. Yep, I like that. That was one of my thoughts. I was maybe going to talk about my boy IRS getting elevated, but
Yeah.
I do think it's that Double J Bulldog.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got anyone stock up?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Double J. I feel like he got some pretty solid vignettes in. He got a win over Bulldog, and now he also has an accessory with him in the roadie. So
Okay, good. Yep, I like that. I'll go IRS. I know it's the guy everyone hates. I know I like to pick on that. I love him, but I don't really love him. But he came out for a big segment. He's going after Taker. He's got Luger next week. I mean, that's a pretty solid day. Like no one else is coming close to that.
Exactly.
So I'll go ahead. You're stock down.
Harvey Whippleman.
Oh, I literally wrote the same thing.
Oh, right. That's money.
Yeah, because
you
talked to him that, but it was just rough. And why is he fighting the Fink? No one.
Yeah,
wants
it's
that.
like we don't want that. You're on like the D-level tag teams. You're on the D-level squash guys. Like, he's just not doing it for me. So yeah, Harvey Whippleman.
Okay. Yep. I have the same. I just think there were some other people, but I thought, Backlund would be a guy that we could throw in there too. But the Harvey stuff, it was just on both the Raws too. They spent so much time on that.
Right.
So I'm going with that. So, all right. It wasn't the strongest 2 weeks of episodes we've ever seen. We know we love the Rumble. We got to get some participants announced, right? It was December, I think January 25th is like the Rumble. So we got like a month. We're on the 12th of Raw. We just got no participants. So
I think they're going through the Christmas lull first, probably.
Yeah. So we got to get moving on the next couple weeks. We got all these tag team matches for the tag team tournament. We at least got 6 matches before the Rumble. So I'm pretty excited. Like you said, we don't know where this tournament goes. There's some fun matches, I think, on paper. So that'll be a ton of fun on adding something to Superstars. And we'll be back in 2 weeks to catch up on the next couple of Raws and Superstars.